instrumental, key element in this whole transport network. British government made available 6.8 billion to upgrade the transport. You'll see it on your traffic lights, pedestrian crossing, cycle lanes, the whole thing. It's a cover. It's actually a cover for the real plan. Unfortunately, the chap at the back there, Matt, absolutely Matt's done a fantastic job. I was watching Matt on the internet and I thought, that doesn't look like a camera. So I'm going to pop down to London and have a chat about that. So I popped down to London and we discovered it wasn't a camera. It must be absolutely fantastic at documenting and getting stuff, and I've said, there's a little thing on there, can you just get the lads to make sure that I get a look at it? And within no more than 24 hours, I've got the images, I've got the pictures, but I've probably sometimes had a little delivery. So when I got all the equipment in, just going to put this on now. What's up? That was a second. I was quite quickly, I could deduce that it wasn't a camera. I could tell by looking at it, the size, configuration. The NPR camera is about the size of a box of chocolates. Right? It's got two vision systems, and it's for detection. The two vision systems are to detect ranging, so when a copper sees you knows where they're speeding on. But that's about as simple as what they are. Probably running at about the cost, by the time the home office buy them, £300 or £400. So I'm being told that this thing's a camera, which it most certainly isn't. Look, absolutely nothing like this. We're having a few technical problems here. Not surprising. For some reason we've had technical problems all day. I'm not surprised that we're having them now. Yeah. That's it. So, on investigation, I was horrified. Because I know I'd worked on electronic weaponry in the 80s. The stuff we had, massive. I mean, we'd have a generator come on the back of an Arctic. These things, small. I'd put things in your suitcase. In fact, you get handheld weapons now. You saw them in Italy, at the Pope's, this new Pope thing. It was where they died, wasn't it? So anyway, at the Pope's event, you saw the soldiers standing there with electronic assault weapons. Basically just a handheld thing. Okay, it's got a lithium cobalt battery and it can deliver enough energy to knock down the drone. They can also, depending on the head, they can knock down a person. Okay, so electronic weapons, been around since the get-go, nothing new about them. In the defence industry, we've known about them for years. Basically just radar. And how you create radar into a weapon system, you just have to focus energy. So, yeah, we'll have it. Transport, sustainable road, World Economic Forum. Right? This is globalist driven right away across the world. We'll see 40 cities, and like I said before, the chair of C40 City, Carl. So he's the mayor of London, C40 City. So it's basically a George Soros funded nonsense, right? To put you in the 50s, but it's a lot more nefarious than that. See, one of the things with these characters is dressing up nicely, don't they? It's all good for your own safety. Make sure that you don't have to travel very far, go to work, you just have to fall out of bed and be in a job. We're going to have the hospital next, all the rest of it. It's total nonsense. In 2019, it switched on 5G proper. 5G started about 2014. 3GPP was the introduction of it. So you hear lots of different stories about when's it coming. The thing I hear all the time now, 6G, it's nonsense. 6G doesn't exist, it's all 5G. It was always 5G. Why they're telling us what's called a drag-along? The security services have worked out that we know that 5G is not safe. So what they're now telling us is this 6G thing, and I've seen the protocols for it, British government have written them, I've read them, it's 5G. And why it's 5G is because the spiritual aspect to it, it's the pentagram. There's no more G's after 5. Right? The reason for that. So if you look at the protocols for 6G, it'll tell you body energy harvest. It's in the 5G protocol. Everything that's in the 6G protocol is in 5G, and it's here. And it's always been here. It's been here for a long time. They're just tweaking it little bit by little bit. So in 219, this picture here is the radiation level, the thermal impact. Microwaves, all know microwave radiation causes temperature increase. Yeah? So in 219, they switch it on properly and they create a 1 to 2 degrees centigrade increase across cityscapes in the cold climate emergency. Now from a transmitter, when a transmitter hits, when the radiation hits a body, that's where it starts to see a thermal impact. Right? So you get a thermal impact, so obviously people get a bit hot. In the winter, not so bad, a couple of degrees. In the summer, like the day, it's enough to kill you. If I push you over the top, 1 or 2 degrees. Now what happened in 219 when I switched it on, all your local authorities called climate emergency. Because they could see in the thermometers how they're measuring temperature in the city, so temperature rise. Say 40 cities, and it's the world, you know, from that choosing. Now think about this. You've got this UK authority. That is a document that goes out and have ended up at City Hall. Now if I was Connor, anybody sitting in that building thinking, hang on a minute, the World Economic Forum chooses Belfast, Leeds and London as global smart cities. How? Who's the World Economic Forum? Who are the World Economic Forum to tell our democratic process, our councillors, that they're going to choose you as a smart city? Because it's not a smart city, really, is it? We're going to get to what really smart is. Secret militarised armaments and residential technology. There's a project called Network Cyber Warfare. And you see, because I had an interest in these types of electronic weapons, right, I've been following and tracking it from the get-go. Public Health Act. Pouring lots of radiation into an environment is a criminal act. Protected under the Social Care Act 2012 and preached that, and preached the Public Health Act, because radiation is not safe. Network cyber warfare, it tells you, right, all your devices, any small device has been developed, or parts of it have been developed by the military, the defence industry. Basically, they've weaponised it all. There's some reason, so everything you put in your house, small meters, etc., etc., etc. One of the things, as Nicholas spoke about before, right, nanoparticulates, nano-domestic quell. That is to get as much nanoparticulate into you, on top of you, right, so they can then get a better resolution for that radar. Because as a biological structure, their kit can't see you. You're like a ghost. You know, we saw ghosts, if we saw things in another dimension, you see a few ghosts and that, bit ghostly looking. Their radar can't see you, you're more like a ghost. But when I fill you full of nanoparticles, guess what? Get a better resolution. And that's what they're after. So the whole nanoparticle contamination thing, obviously the weather nonsense and sea or have now admitted to screen you with what's called a weather weapon. These are weather weapons. They're not to block out the sun, they're there to keep the temperature in, just like a polytunnel. So gaslight the general population. They turn this ionospheric radiator on, you can see the lovely little wave patterns. That's your temperature. They're pouring billions of watts of energy in, bouncing it off these chemtrails. There's the waveform there, you can see it, and they have full control over it by 2025. Your council wants you out your car, they want your gas fire taken out, they want all ICE vehicles off the road because they tell you it's you when we know it's them. Yeah. They organise all of this, the gas light, the general population, and the general population, unfortunately, dumb as a box of rocks, ignorant of facts, right? Lack of knowledge, and unfortunately today, lack of knowledge will get you dead. As we saw with the injections. Everything in your smartphone, military developed. Everything. The screen, the chips, everything. ARM, one of the main chips is ARM. ARM stands for anti-radiation missile. It's all defence industry stuff. So basically what you're doing, you're walking around with a bomb in your pocket. Now, see if we can get these, we should get them here. Hopefully. So what he's telling you is a small food, a $10 billion piece of weapons. Okay, this other video, which is quite interesting. Right, just blow them up. Remember the Lebanon? You know your mobile phone? Right, they're bombs. It's a small hand grenade. The lithium cobalt battery now can run it off. I can fire enough magnetic field into it from a 5G emitter, right? I can get it to run off, and because it's sealed, the energy has to go somewhere. So normally, the battery in that laptop is totally defunct. It's got to go through the mains. When you have these with you, do not keep them sealed next to your body. Right? The reason for that is because it can be used as a weapon against you. Okay? So be mindful. Anything with a lithium cobalt battery has the potential to be used as a weapon. And that was what was shown in Lebanon. And it wasn't just, as it's stated on the tape, you know, it was in all the press and the social media that all said, oh, it was these pagers. No, it wasn't. Mobile phones, laptops, batteries, all that types of batteries, all getting exploded. If I've got access to it, I can turn it into a bomb. The Labour Party have decided that you're not going to have any petrol diesel cars by 2030. So let's just have a look and see what's going to happen there, because this is a really interesting one. This was Luton Airport, by the way. That's a lithium cobalt battery on fire, heating up the tank. So the battery was burning and burning and burning, right? And it was heating up the diesel tank till it started to gas off, and then the diesel tank, boom, boom. Done millions and millions of pounds worth of damage. And the reason for that is because the lithium cobalt batteries, unfortunately, aren't tackling. I can use a 5G network to pour enough magnetic field into that battery and I can explode it. Same as the one in your pocket. So not very safe. Now, in Gateshead, these characters, my local authority put these LED lights on. And what they did, the pulse. As you can see, what's called flicker. All right, now flicker, you do not want any optical radiation emitter as causing flicker, because it's toxic. I can weaponise it, I can change the frequency, and I can weaponise it. And this is London. It's a picture of London when they had not so much of your light emitting diodes, and this is London now. And you can see you've got a massive increase in optical radiation. Orange streetlights were orange for a reason. It's 2000 Kelvin. It's not risk. That is a risk. It's not a massive risk. When I go from 2000 Kelvin to 6,000 and 7,000 Kelvin there, I've just caused massive problems. We've got a cancer epidemic. We've got a cancer epidemic from unsafe street lighting that your local authorities were already warned. Public Health England had already told this high-risk magazine that goes out to all councils, tells them clearly there is a high risk from LED street lighting. The British government say it's perfectly safe because it's actually, you can't look at it because it's too bright and it'll hurt your eyes, so it's safe. That's what they say. Their excuse is it's perfectly safe. It kills all pollinators, you attract pollinators. That category 2 optical radiation emitters. So what they've done, because you're not looking up at them, right, they put them in the headlights. So your headlights come towards you now, everybody knows not complaining about it. Here's category 2s. Maximum exposure is 0.25 a second. This is what you've got people, and the interesting thing, the government are planning to fine people anything from £2,500 to £5,000 if you wear sunglasses when you're driving. So that's the whole line. So they're going to fine you because they want the electronic assault weapon to do you a mischief, and they're going to fine you. It will damage your eyesight, it does cause central nervous system cancer. That is in all of the published peer-reviewed science. So when anybody tells me they're not deliberately, willfully attacking us, it's false. They are deliberately. Any photonics expert at a local authority who knows anything about lighting will know that taking street lighting from 2000 Kelvin orange to a 6,000 and 7,000 pulse modulated emission would cause bodily harm, assault. It says a deliberate attack, all due to this net zero green nonsense, total nonsense. Coming on to these things, like I said, Mark was very assistive in this arena. So this is quite an interesting video. What it shows, that's a pulse modulated send and receive. It's LiDAR, laser detection ranging type technology. Okay, Transport for London told me that they class 1 risk group 1 LEDs, right? And what they've said is they use them for elucidating the number plate. On the top of that, just hiding there nicely on the top, that little black box, and that thing is called Senses. Senses is a 2.4 gigahertz radar system. All right, it scans the environment. It can look at every device in your home, in your vehicle. It can actually talk to Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, and Mac. So you can pick up the MAC address. That's the Senses kit. This little thing on the top, oh, that's something a little bit more naughty. We'll come to that in a minute. So here you have lasers being fired at vehicles in people's eyesight, and the multi-photon. If I stack enough photons, if I stack this laser, right, that pen light here, that laser is a class 1. It has to be less than 1 milliwatt. 1 milliwatt, that's a thousandth of a watt. So that's 1 milliwatt. If I shine it at you, you can get his nick for assault. Right? So they're shining these at you, but what they're doing is quite clever. Instead of using a laser that you would see, they use it non-visible spectrum, so you can't see it. So you've got a non-visible spectrum that they're using, and that's it there. Now on further inspection, thanks to Matt, this is what's inside. And inside there, you've got some heavy cabling going to it. It's got a send and receive technology. These are phased away, right? That is a diode there made by Osram Black. It's a biometric sensor. Facial recognition, security sensors. You know when they do your retina, that's it there. Okay, but however, put this one in what's called a Fabry-Apollo structure. It creates a laser. So it's not just a diode, it's not just a sensor diode, that is actually a laser head. So in that laser head, you've got 24, and on the calculations we have a category 4 lasers. You've got 24 category 4 lasers. Anything over 400 milliwatts, like this is 1 milliwatt, anything over 400 milliwatts is classed as a class 4 laser. These start at 800 milliwatts and go up to 1200 milliwatts. However, you've got 24 times that's running at 1 amp. These cables and the capacitors were found inside. It can run at 3 amps, 175 watts. Now I know I can kill you with 4. I can fire it into your head, transfer these straight through your skull, right? Because it travels infrared, travels through the skull. I can fire it through your head, and guess what? I can kill you with 4 watts in the beam, and it can fire 175. So what is it? Well, it's not a camera, is it? Keep calling it a camera. It's not a camera. It's a laser detection range and weapon system. Right? Now, what was said to call is, if I had a class 2 laser in a lab, the low states, I have to warn you, especially if it's infrared, so you can't see it. So you have to have this type of warning in class 2. Their class 4 is no warning. Anybody seen a warning in the streets? No. When you're driving up the road, you see any of these laser weapons? No. So what we saw across London is we went from about 1,200 cataracts annually to over 15,500 sensor switch-offs. So that's the numbers. This is NHS numbers. Well, you see, optical warfare technology, you're not allowed to blind your enemy on a battlefield. You can accidentally blind them, but you're not allowed to deliberately blind them. So I can't get a soldier an order and go and use that LiDAR weapon and blind these lot over there. Because infrared can't see it. If you've got a pair of binoculars or a telescopic sight, it increases the focality. So even a class 1 or a class 2 up against someone with a pair of binoculars, you can still damage their eyesight irreparably. Yeah? So the government, the Ministry of Defence, this type of technology on a battlefield, you've got to warn your soldiers. That's why a lot of them can take the fire weapon, and a lot of them actually use mechanical electronic sights for weapon sight systems. And that's where I came in, because that was one of the things I was developing, electronic weapon sight systems to mitigate the weapon that just put on your streets in London. There's this was Ponteland in Newcastle, where we found same type of thing. See the flicker? No optical radiation should be flickering. No. All LEDs, pulse modulated, they're monochromic, they're very dangerous. What also found, this is Siemens Unix traffic type technology. What also found, we found biometric sensors. So anybody walking across the traffic infrastructure, you've got biometric sensors tracking and tracing you. Now what do you think they're tracking and tracing? Well, recently we know there's been a number of unfortunate victims who've been coerced and threatened into taking a biological chemical weapon that has the materials in it, so it elucidates there's the weapon system on the top. We're going up to the pedestrian crossing. Now this is directly across the pedestrian crossing there, you can see the scanner. Did you know you're being scanned, just like an airport scanner, a little bit more invasive by the way. Did you know you're being scanned every time you go to a pedestrian crossing? Big answer is no. So they've done it covertly, and they've done it covertly for a reason, because they're not just scanners. This is the bit that we found inside, right? I got a little delivery, care of people in London. So I had a delivery, and this is the phased array. It's got 24 antenna elements. It's phased array. It's got a gun sight. I'm not shy. It's a radar gun, but it's using phased array. Phased array, I can cause what's called a synthetic aperture on the back of that, and I can beam the signal of the target. So this is a weapon system on top of your traffic lights that Transport for London have said it doesn't exist. Inside, this is the one that's aimed at the vehicles. There's all the electronics on the back end, large capacitors, large amount of capability there, but this is the really interesting bit. If you look at this block, that aluminium block, that antenna, there's 100 of them on there. It's on this side of that block. You've then got an air gap. You've then got this resistor plate and major electronics. That tells me it's what's called rad hardened. So when I fire the weapon, I'm going to get a reflection back off it. I don't want to burn out the electronics. You see, this is a phased array unit that would be in the front of a vehicle. Now this piece of hardware, you see it's got all the electronics on here, so I can tell by looking at that, it's not safe, but what it is definitely is, it's not a weapon, it's not rad hardened. So they're not going to fire that. If you fire enough energy out of that, it would bounce back and burn out the electronics. You don't want that happening. You don't want to burn your weapon out. This thing's got 150 metres. This thing is aimed at 50, 20 metres to the target. So it's got massive capacitance, large capability. Like I said, these phased array create these synthetic aperture. And there's the pattern for it. Phased array, as it says there, and it was patented in 2004, it's granted in 2006, and what it says on the top, it's an electronic weapon. So what they have actually deployed on top of here is a weapon system. That's it focused in a vehicle. I mean, you've got three radar guns aiming at one car. You've got two aiming at a pedestrian. Go and have a look at your pedestrian crossings, they're all over. That's scanning you as you're standing, pressing a button, that's scanning you. And what we also found, like I said, thanks to the lads, made in China. Alright, and what we found was it's made by Fields, who own this company, who own the brand name Jamalco. Jamalco is manufactured under contract by the Chinese in Hui's factory. It is a banned piece of equipment. The British government banned it in 2022 as a national security threat, and that's exactly, so this High-speed modem is what's driving the laser weapon. It also connects to all the other weapons, because they don't work independently, they work in conjunction with each other. So that was what we found inside. There he is, the stink pot. He'll probably be upset this afternoon if he gets that letter, because when he does get the letter, if you want to see the content of it, I'm just going to read out the first paragraph. It's historical list, by the way.
Are you making an open letter?
I can send this to you, yeah, I can send this to you. What we've done, we've actually served us a letter before claim. Before you make any civil action, you've got to give people the opportunity to remedy. You can't just take them straight to court, otherwise you'll fail. So what I've had to do, I've wrote a card today and I've said, dear sorry card, Mary Hartley, Vicky Herbert and Thomas Anthony Coffey. Because currently, you see, you've got a 30% increase in breeding deputies right away across London. Can't say he's fixed it, it's 30% worse. 999 calls up 20%. Eye injuries up thousands of percent. And what we've got some directors of public health here aren't doing anything about it. Now, if they're not doing anything about it, because that's what they get paid for, then there's a conspiracy, isn't there? You can't have that amount of injury in ill health. I mean, they've had a 20% increase in heart attacks. So if I had a 1 or 2% increase in heart attacks, people would have to be out here going, what's going on? It's 20%. Are they saying anything? Now you've got Corn in the mainstream press telling you that his illegal laser weapon that he's deployed is making the environment really good in London and everybody's breathing fresh air. Are they? Irradiated air is not fresh. So here's my first paragraph. It has come to my attention that you, Sally Corn, Chairman of Transport for London TfL, Mayor of Greater London Authority to the GLA and Chairman of C40 Cities, have facilitated the deployment and commissioning of an illegal artificial intelligence operated experimental covert biomimic invasive interrogation electronic assault weapon called UNEX Transport Fusion, with the intent to commit assault, genocide, a mass murderous, heinous evil act to the detriment of the health and well-being of Londoners. So you can see, when he reads that, he's going to have to take legal advice. He's a lawyer himself, isn't he? He's not stupid. So he knows the intent, right? I'm telling them, if he don't remedy, I'm going to be looking for a murder charge against him if he doesn't remedy. Because now he's got no excuse, you can't see he doesn't know, because TfL have all the documents in relation to the illegal hardware that they've deployed. Now, the other thing, going back to what that's connected to, it's not a very good picture, but you can actually see the nanometer materials being pulled right up to the injection site. Graphite ferritic nanometal materials, lanthanides in particular, and lanthanides is the image that Nicholas showed before. It's what elucidates you if I'm going to give you a PET scan. If you go and get a PET scan, they're going to inject you with gadolinium. Not safe, by the way, don't get any PET scans. Right? Don't get any PET scans. Here we have a young girl who was victim of the crime. And there you can see an electromagnetic radiation field being emitted from the injection site. Okay? So what actually happened, Matty Boy, Hancock, right? Hancock actually, he was the head of the whole 5G digital nonsense. And then all of a sudden, he's the health secretary. I've got a lot on Hancock, by the way. And what he stated in his WhatsApp post was, I've chipped them all on behalf of Bill Gates, and they can see it. It'll jump across the magnet. Watch, that's it there. So you see it jump from the arm after being surgically removed, because you can cut them out. You can use a magnet to pull them out because they are nanoparticles. So you can't just get a large magnet, attach it to the injection site, and it will draw the weapon out. So what they've basically done, they've basically injected everybody with a hand grenade. Right? They're a walking target acquisition piece of hardware that you can kill you with that weapon just deployed. So the laser detection range and weapon system and the radar. These are the study I just watched really interesting video yesterday in the French Parliament, where the French parliamentarians are being told that people have been injected with these nano metamaterials, right, with these type of chip type technologies. Now, what I was always interested in, I'm just dead interested in weapons, always have been. I've always been a bit of a strange character, always been very interested in weapons, in covert weapons in particular, poisons, bombs, for some inexplicable reason. And one of the weapons that I came across was a weapon called neural strike that was being developed by the Chinese. And I was thinking, well, hang on a minute, what's the point of the Chinese having a weapon unless they're going to kill the Chinese? They'll have to have it deployed in the West, wouldn't they? Yeah? If they're going to kill us. If that's what the real plan is, on behalf of the globalists, by the way. Well, the weapon's called neural strike. So, neural strike is connected to nanoparticles. So you see the thermal impact, that's through someone's skull. That's me shooting them with an infrared signal. Okay? Now, if you've actually had the nanoparticulates, so they're converted nanoparticulates, and what that does, that then increases the energy field. So when I fire the laser through there, oof, you can see that it's going to be dropping in the street. We let switch these on, and believe us, it's going to be mass murder. Because that weapon system, it's AI operated, AI's already told you it wants to kill everybody. I mean, it's not messing about. I mean, AI, artificial intelligence, or angel intelligence, right? Fallen angel intelligence, that's where it comes from. So here I have, that's the TfL case. Now, TfL are just party to, they're just deploying the equipment, okay? They're in a bit of a panic, and they're basically telling me that the lasers don't exist, the radar definitely doesn't exist, there isn't any, even though we've got the pictures and the hardware of it. I mean, we couldn't make this up. So we've got a case against them. That's going to be somewhere in June. But the main character is Con. You see, he's going to squeal like a pig, right? When somebody gets him by the ear and go, ee! He's going to squeal like a pig, right? And the reason I squeal like a pig, right? Because he probably doesn't know, right? So he's going to get the opportunity to find out, isn't he? Because we have said that in TfL do have all of the substantive evidence, prima facie evidence, that what has been deployed is illegal and it has the potential to kill. It's an electronic assault weapons program. We had the evidence for the NHS, so we've got 999 stolen, right, to points that are catastrophic. Like I said before, if you get 1 or 2% increase in heart attacks, there has to be an investigation. It could be anything. Somebody could be poisoning somebody in a park, so you could have a team, anything could happen. So whenever they see these anomalies, they have to investigate, and guess what they've done? Nothing. What that tells me is they know. They're complicit, exactly. So we'll get to the bottom of that. That's going to be upsetting a little bit. Obviously, 5th generation warfare, that was their plan, globalist plan. Directional weapon systems been around for a long time. They've all now come out because of Havana. You know, the Havana attack, when they were attacking the embassy staff and security services. Think of the assets who were being attacked in Havana. Intelligence operatives, diplomats, and their assets, right? It wasn't us that were attacking, it was the embassy and their people. So, you see, what I was talking about, we get these large events. I talk about the intelligence agencies. How intelligent can they be? They're the target. If I want to attack a country, I want to take down the command and control. I want to attack kids in the council state. I remember there was an intelligence officer, when we discovered what they deployed in Gates, and I got a call off a guy, and he went, "Do you know what you found out?" And I went, "Yeah." He went, "Look, man," he says, "not about us." He said, "They're just going to kill all the disabled." And I went, "Are they?" I said, "You complete and utter deity, you idiot, dumb as a box, they're going to kill them. They're the target. All these coppers walking around, people going, oh, it's terrible, these coppers are, don't worry, I'm going to be dead soon." Because if I was going to attack a country in this EI system, that EI system's not thick. It's quite intelligent. And what it's going to do, it's going to attack anybody it thinks has got the capability to shut it down. So guess what it's going to go for? The people that put it in. It makes perfect sense. What would you do? If you open something and you know somebody can actually stop you, that's the person you're going to be aiming your attack at, isn't it? So it makes perfect sense to me, because like I said, ER's not stupid. These politicians are stupid. Your Sadiq Khans and all the rest of them, there's dogs and box of rocks. I mean, we've just seen them on a train, snort and toot. I mean, imagine, you've just been up to Ukraine to see your best mate, he's given you a nice bag of food, and you come back. I mean, just usually they take a crackpot who've got one in the country, doesn't it? The absolute lunatics. I mean, imagine, are you getting caught? So, the most important thing, Blade Runners, they are knocking 7 bells out of their plan. And guess what? We now have all the evidence I require to do them a proper mischief. So, the military industrial complex, obviously COVID behind the scenes, but I just want to play this video because it's really important. Just boys a big shout out, because it's just absolutely obviously Matt's manner. See the sensors on the top, they're all weapon, there's our weapon, done. That's how you deal with electronic shelter in the streets. Now, from a legal perspective, Matt's case be pushing back, do not want to be in court. They don't want to remand him either. They don't want to remand him. Right? I can go through and tell this full story, but I'll let him do that sometime. Beyond the panic. They're absolutely, they've been trying to torture him, knock on his door early in the morning and all the rest of it. It's harassment. We're going to do something about it, but it's harassment because they're in a panic. They're panicking. Cat's out the bag. Like, even their own coppers are going, oh, hang on a minute, is there something in this? When I got nicked, the last time I got nicked, it's about 6 months ago now, goes in, puts the tape on. Because I'll just see it as it is on the internet. I'm not bothered with it. Why? Because you've got to ask the question, why? So I'll go in, puts the tape on, so I'm sitting, and he goes, right, Mark, blah, 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 so you've got to see it. And I went, whoa, hang on a minute. I said, you recording this? He said, he's like, look, as if I've lost my marbles. You just put the tape on. I said, no, I want to know if you're recording it. And he said, well, I just put it. I said, no. I said, are you recording it? He said, what do you mean? I said, well, have you just had the COVID-19 vaccine? You know what I mean? I said, so you've got a graphite ferritic nanomaterial antenna injected in your record this for the 5G wireless body area network. Right? And I says, on that case, any recording device in this room has to be approved by the Chief Constable. Has he approved you as a recording device in this room? So I mean, enough he's in breach of case, you see. Because it's can you imagine taking this to court now and this out with the judge? And he's been injected as well. So it's a matter that has to be dealt with. So, like, I said, look, the reason I'm saying it, I would say things in this interview that would get you dead, like pretty quickly, because the antenna you've been injected, it's a track trace termination technology. So I said, you could be dead very quickly, and I don't want to be conscious, and that's why I'm telling you. So if you want to carry on, well, carry on. You guys, we're going to carry on. You can see them all right. I've already briefed me brief, so he knows all about, I've got all the documents, and I wake here about it's all there. So he goes, my brief's doing his job, and the coppers are like, what's going on? Yeah. So anyway, he goes, well, we're going to have to carry on. I said, all right then. So he said, right, the breacher stands with us, stop right there. He said, I've looked at the evidence you've got, it's got nothing to do with my client, right, because it is trying to nonsense to try and rattle your cage. And he went, well, not doing my client, so we're going to leave. We'll just get them leave. The coppers go, Mark, you're going to say anything? I went, no comment. And they both went. Switches the tape off, he goes, come on, what's going on? I says, what's going on is, can I kill you lot? You lot's all been, you've got track trace termination technology, and their faces, they're like, they just cannot grasp what's happened to them. You see, their chief constables were told, right, they were warned, and they didn't do anything about it. Anyway, everybody, thanks for popping along. I hope it's been informative. We'll get this in the car and we'll see Corn in court.
Just a few questions, Mark. Good to see you. Have you heard about the Italian authorities who's been looking at vaccinated bodies and the pineal gland shot to pieces, which you explained a lot?
I wouldn't be surprised at all. Any nanometal materials like you get inside your body. So let's say someone's got a hip replacement or I've got gold teeth, right? It was just saying enough for when I was retired, you know, pull them out and cash them out. Good investment, isn't it? I'm going to think how much gold I've got. Show you any metal contaminants, titanium, hip replacements, anything you're at risk. But you're also, it's in breach of ICNIRP. The ICNIRP guidelines, the government trot them out all the time, right, about the levels of radiation you're allowed to be exposed to. What you have to remember, ICNIRP's time sensitive. Any 5G mast that they say is ICNIRP approved, it's not true. It only has to be on for more than 6 minutes or 30 minutes max, and it breaches the guideline. So anybody, however, anybody who has any metal fixtures and fittings, glasses, earrings, rings, watches, anything on your body, you increase that toxic effect from the radiation. So basically, nobody is safe from this type of radiation, and that's actually in their guidelines.
Also, you can't patent a conspiracy. You've got to be patent.
Go on, Paul. Yeah.
Yeah, hi. You can't patent a conspiracy. You've got quite a few patents there. This recent High Court decision about the LTZs, I know it's corrupt justice system anyway, but do you think there's any hope because there's no consultation?
Absolutely. I can tell you one thing about the judiciary, right? They took me to court in 2008 to try and gag us, okay? But got into court, it was a done deal, right? Halfway through the court case, they lied, and you could see the judge was like, hang on a minute, something not right here. Caught them out. Thankfully, one honest copper told the truth, where they said I'd been making threats to kill, right? One copper who was was there, and I said to him, did I make any threats to kill? He went, no. I said, because if I had done, you would have arrested us, wouldn't you? He went, yeah. So I definitely didn't do that. He went, no, definitely not. In comes a guy. Oh, he said he was going to murder me, kill me kids, told made up nonsense. And the judge was looking at me going, I think I've heard enough of you. I went, I think I've heard enough. So he dismissed him. The chief executive gets on the stand and goes, he went to attack me in the council chambers. We were all terrified. We had to have him subdued and removed. Video gets played. I'm standing at the dais like this going, you look, when this comes out, he's on nothing, so crummy. That's all I said. Video comes out, so the judge is like, what? He goes, come on, Mr. Steele, how many times have you been against at council? I went, once. He was like, you know when somebody stuffed their mouth full of fellas? He was like, he looked at the chief executive and he said, can you explain to me what, where, how it went to attack me? She was like, dead lucky, by the way. There was a random guy in the I mean, he did go with us, but he randomly videotaped it. So I've got to record these criminals because they will lie. They are absolute pathological liars. So fortunately, just by chance, we didn't have the videotape it, but he had done, which was really helpful, really assistive. And then they had an expert. So he gets on the stand and goes, so I go, so your statement says it's a 2G, 3G system in a street line. He goes, yeah, definitely. He says, yeah. He says, so if you go to Exhibit 6, I said it's got the allocated spectrum for European allocated spectrum for 5G. I says, what does it say at that paragraph there? He goes, 868 megahertz. Oh, I says, so if you just, when you explain to court, What is the antenna in the top of that street light? What is it? It's 868 megahertz. Oh, so I said, so you've got a specific allocated spectrum for 5G, sub-gig 868. I says you've got an antenna on the top of the street light, 868. I says got a dielectric property, it's a high gain antenna. I says all 5G, specifically 5G. I says, and you've got in your statement, it's 2G, 3G, haven't you? He went, yeah. I said, you don't know what 5G is, do you? He went, no. Judge went, stop. We're going to break for lunch, he said, and I'm going to read his skeleton argument, which is the argument you put in the night before the trial or a day before. Depends on what the directions here in the state. Sometimes the TFL wants 3 days before to give them a chance. So anyway, it's not, I haven't got one. So anyway, we're breaking for lunch. I hope everybody has lunch. Come back after lunch, read me skeleton argument. Now, he made a statement, he went, you lot told me he was a conspiracy theorist. The man's an expert, right? He said, not just an expert, because my patent attorney, I got 20 patents to mitigate these weapons on a battlefield. So my patent attorney, who's basically like a barrister, he wrote this character reference to tell them how advanced, right, in some of the technology that had been invented on the back of these weapons. So anyway, that didn't go down very well for them. So anyway, he came out, said what he said, but what that told me, they had a pre-trial hearing. Having a pre-trial hearing that I wasn't party to is a criminal offence. You've got to be there. Because when he came out, he went, you lot told me he was a conspiracy theorist. When did that happen? So they've actually had a pre-trial hearing. As it happens, historically, it blew up in their face. But it blew up in our face, it was serendipitous, bit of luck, right? But where we are today, we're here today to talk about assault weapon being deployed under the guise of C-40 City. The C-40 City is nothing more than a kill box. It's an electronic assault weapons kill box, and it's connected to what 40 plus million of our countrymen, women and children are being victimised, because they're victims, they're being victimised, threatened, abraded and brainwashed and taken. Now fortunately, their weapons aren't working. I can tell you now, Andrew Bridgen has been here today. I hope they haven't attacked him, right? But think about it, he's still walking the streets, he's not dead. The technology can kill you at distance. Those 5G monopoles have got 100-mile reach. They can focus a beam. OSI, the CIA element, sent me a document, right, basically to try and catch us out, right, because it was littered with a load of nonsense. But in that document, what the idiots didn't do, they sent us the technical details of the antennas. Now, I know intelligence agents, right, they can get away with lots of different things, right, but what they definitely don't know, right, is about dBm outputs and wattage. And the technical details showed that the Huawei antenna could fire 385,000 watts in the beam. Now, I can kill you with 4, so what's 385? So each one of these monopoles, like you see popping up all over the place, have got the potential in focality where the focus, so with these antennas, 385,000 watts. What could that be for? Well, definitely not for your mobile phone, I can tell you. All this nonsense about sending focus signals into mobile phones is just that. It's total and absolute nonsense, right? And it's the same as those phased array lasers used for elucidating number plates. It's horseshit. It's not true. So they're going to have a problem, right, in the court, right? Because unfortunately, I don't know what I'm talking about. They don't. I haven't got a Scooby. So we're going to smash them because they've tried. TFL have been and they've employed one of the top barristers, KCs in London to try and get the case struck out, and guess what? Still going ahead.
Brilliant.
So that tells you 25th June. 25th of June. I've got a pre-trial, we've got a trial management on the 6th, and then it goes ahead on the 26th, 25th or 26th. So they're trying their best to stop us, but you can imagine, you're a judge looking at these documents and going, hang on a minute, I've had that to you. Do you know what I mean? Well, it's a suicide. If you want to have a go down the suicide mission, that's fine. But I'll tell you now, they ain't going to be very good for them. and they are painting themselves into being terminated. So they've got a choice. Do the right thing, uphold the law, and we'll beat them, or do the wrong thing, carry on, and you'll be dead. And your kids, and your family.
Is there a non-disclosure agreement?
If anybody else, hang on a sec, if you'd like to ask a question, could you put your hand up and then I can give you a mic? Hang on a sec.
It's just for the audio, for the camera.
Yes, yeah. Right.
There has been a few wins, but there's been full disclosure agreements signed for the case to go ahead, and some cases have been put back. So, and also media blackout on it, because they know that evidence is too damaging.
The second court, my first court case when they tried to gag us, we had full media coverage. Second court case when they tried to jail us, none. Even the judge, Kramer, we got in the court, and the court was rammed with people. It was the world assizes, so it was like 150 people in the court, and he even turned on and went, "Where's the press?" First words out of his mouth, because obviously Nolan would get himself internationally recognised for his court case. Obviously, like to get themselves in the papers. So his expectation was the press would be there, they'd all be warned off. And it wasn't the intelligence agencies, it was the editors at the papers that stopped it. They'd all been told, do not, keep away from it. So, yeah, we're bound to get, that's the whole purpose of this. Get it on camera, get it plastered out, share it as much as you can, and tell people, get these leaflets. You'll see this leaflet. It's got the pattern, it's got the first degree pattern on the back, right? Get some, there's loads here, we've brought thousands with us. Take them and show them to people, this is what is in and around London. And these, that's the way to stop it. Because at the minute, until we get this stopped, people's lives are at risk. Their environment's at risk, people's eyesight is at risk, property is at risk. The defence in law to this, property damage, duress under circumstance. Now duress is you can't get away from it. All over. So no matter where you go, it's all over. So you've got duress of circumstance, criminal damage, right? There's a defence to criminal damage if you think something is going to harm you, right? Very important. Anybody gets nicked ever, it's a weapon. That's it. And I can bring all the evidence. I can't tell people, if people get nicked for chopping them down and telling me it's good because it's terrible that people are paying £12.50, don't even bother contacting us. Because I can't help you. I told Lawrence Fox the other day, I said, look, I've got to make an example of it. Foxy told people to go and damage it, right, on the back of it being like £12 in taxation, right? Had it totally wrong, and what's actually happened, right, since then is people have blown them up. So he's encouraged people to commit terrorist acts, because that's under terrorism. So I'll tell you now, unless something really interesting happens, right, I'd like to assist him, but like I said, his first words has to be mens rea. When you do anything, it has to be what's going on in your mind at that time and why you did what you did. Really important. So you have to understand these are weapon systems. It's not about the £12.50. If anything, the £12.50 has been a bit of a distraction, hasn't it? Everybody's talking about taxation. They just print it. They're not bothered how many £12.50s they want off you. What they're really trying to do is destroy private business in London, which is economic terrorism. That's really what they're trying to do. It's not about nicking the £12.50 off people, it's just destroying more businesses. They're just a bunch of criminals. Globalist, puppet criminals. Anyway, everybody, thank you very much.